Now, from the Marquee Media Studio inside Mark Tank, it's the Mark Haney Show.
Yes, this is the Mark Haney Show, on a mission to ignite the entrepreneurial revolution right here in the hometown we love. And we do that by building the backyard advantage, most connected community in the world for local entrepreneurs. It's based upon a culture of love, right? Helping one another, paying it forward, showing the love the action. Today on the show, we have 5 guys that are bringing the love to Sacramento charities of their choice. And they built really, I think it's the largest golf tournament, if you will, in the Sacramento region, maybe beyond. Maybe it's the largest in the country. I don't know of anything like the Capital Cup. So we're going to share each of their stories a little bit and talk about why, right? Because that's a big thing when we're thinking about what we want to do with our lives. You know, what matters to us? How do we want to spend our time? And that comes to helping out causes in the community as well as building our businesses. So we have business people here that are really giving back in a really special way. The Capital Cup was started by my good buddy, Curt Rocca. Curt, why don't you lead us off? Give us a little bit of an overview, a little bit of your background, but also why the Capital Cup and what is it?
Sure. From a background standpoint, I'm managing partner at DCA Partners here in the Sacramento region. We provide M&A advisory services to middle market companies throughout, pretty much from Fresno to the Oregon border. It's our primary geography. We also have a private equity fund, and we recently launched a family office platform. But, all of that has led to us, really appreciating the region that we live in. And, part of appreciating it is appreciating what we have and understanding that not everybody is as fortunate as we are, whether that's from an economic standpoint, from a health standpoint, from a whatever, right? There are a lot of people who need a little bit of help. And the Capital Cup was started 10 years ago. What really led up to it was, one, a realization that there really were more great nonprofits attempting to serve, constituents here in the region than any one of us as business professionals or simply as people had either the time or the resources to be able to support. And so the question then became, how do we come up with an efficient way for all of us to support all the causes that we would like to be able to support by banding together, as opposed to, going to literally, the average golf tournament earns about $35,000 for their charity after all the expenses are done. And, in order to raise, let's say, $2.5 million, you could go to a golf tournament every single week just to simply raise, less than $2 million. And through the Capital Cup this year, we raised $2.6 million for 30 different charities in 3 days. And so, it's just a very efficient way for trying to do good. And as you know, Mark, you know better than anybody. Once you're the poster, you're probably the mayor of this group, but there are a lot of really giving people here in this community, and giving as it relates to the Capital Cup comes at a lot of different levels. Number one, it comes at the level of, people, the business professionals that want to give back. In our context, we also have to go out and get sponsors, right? You have to get sponsored for your show. We have to get sponsored for the Capital Cup so that we can actually fulfill our mission. But then our model is to reach out to people in our spheres of influence in the business community and ask them to support the causes that each of the players that participate in the Capital Cup are there to support. And they step up in ways that would absolutely blow your mind.
Well, Mike is over here, and I'm calling it the Capital Cup. And I just realized you're the naming sponsor. The L5 Capital Cup is actually what it's now called. Is that right, Mike? And maybe give us a little bit of your background and how you decided to get involved in the Capital Cup and take on such a key part.
Yeah, it's a great question. I had heard of the Capital Cup for years and years. We have a fellow friend, Roger Akers, another icon of Sacramento, absolutely, that has been inviting me to play golf for a long, long time. And I am not a great golfer, as most of us here can vouch for. But I always loved what it stood for. and the just the integrity and the power of the really the individuals, right? The fabric of Sacramento that we're giving back through the event. And I had been looking for a way to make an impact on the community myself, with my family. And, I've been consulting with some folks that used to work at American Cancer Society and some other friends. What's the right way to do it? What kind of venue should we start up? What's the best way we can make an impact? And Roger said, you should talk with Curt, do the Capital Cup, work on your golf game a little bit. But there's, my business is all about, adding value to our investors and our communities and gentrifying communities. And, it's the core of what I've always been, trying to figure out how to make things better and help the community as a whole. I wanted to work forward and start a nonprofit in my 20s. And I realized real quickly I couldn't make enough money to start a family and do it that way. So this is a way for me to finally give back in a way that is just so impactful, directly in the community. So our sponsorship is obviously a big part of the prize that we offer with the Capital Cup. But the greatest thing is 100% of it goes to the charities from the winning part. So we don't take any. DCA doesn't take any, and I just couldn't think of a better way within the Sacramento region to give back.
Well, the five of us, I guess there's six of us, the five of you and me, we're talking down in the lobby. And, so I'm meeting some of you guys for the first time today. So what do you do for a living? That kind of thing comes up in those conversations. And you are a nationwide developer of real estate. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Commercial type real estate.
Yeah, we don't develop anymore.
Okay.
We'll buy the older garden style apartments that are well located, good access to jobs, retail, etc., and improve that. Improve the community from the amenities to the interiors, and turn that into an attractive offering for local investors across the country. Yeah. So we're California through the Midwest, all the way out to Virginia and Florida.
So when I meet this nationwide real estate mogul, just before that, I had met the largest concrete company subcontractor in residential in the country. Paul Esch is in the house as well. And it's like you stumble across these super successful people that you've never met before in your life. And now all of a sudden you run into them at a golf event or, here on our show. So lucky to have you on the show today, Paul. And welcome. Maybe a little of your background and maybe why you chose the charity that you chose.
Well, my background is concrete. I've done it since I got out of high school. First job out of high school was working concrete. And, I had some super great teachers along the way. And, came here to California in '89, started CVC in 1990 out of my garage.
Wow.
Right. So I had 5 employees when I started. But I'll move on to the Capital Cup because, CVC itself, it stands for Concrete Value Corp. But it's really about long-term employees that make a company successful.
But you have thousands of employees?
That's 1,200.
Oh, 1,200. That's it? Okay.
1,200 employees. But, when you get to the Capital Cup, what I find is interesting about business, real leaders all have something in common of successful companies. They're servant leaders, right? Their job is to make people that work for them successful. And if you make people successful, they make you successful.
True.
Right? And my charity is Cristo Rey High School. And it's near and dear to my heart because it's a very unique high school. It's a college preparatory high school. And only qualification to go there is your parents can't make more than federal poverty level income. And by the time they get through 4 years of high school, I think the numbers, at least 99% are qualified to go to high school or go on to college. And when they go to college, they come home, they not only change their lives, they change their families' lives, but they change the lives of the communities that they live in. But if I can, I'm going to tell you, what was it, 3 years ago, the start of COVID, we did a capital campaign. And so our goal was to raise $8 million, and we did that during COVID. But the first graduating class, 2000, 2010. Okay. So first graduating class there was 2010. Started in 2006 here. But what I'm most proud of that capital campaign is $300,000 of that $8 million was raised by former students.
Wow.
Right. And these aren't students of means, right? I've challenged in any other high school that has the oldest kid is 30 to go out and see. Yeah.
So I have Chris Calderon over here, and they're kind of having this conversation between them. You're the president of Cristo Rey High School. And so I know a little bit about Cristo Rey because you provided us some workers at one point. Maybe just describe what's different. Obviously, it's working. Look at the success that Paul's described. But what's different about your high school and maybe how it relates to the Capital Cup too at some level?
Certainly. Thank you, Mark. I think the gift of our school, we are the only school that has students working in businesses, law firms, hospitals, 5 days a month, all throughout Sacramento. And why do we do that? Practically speaking, those business owners sponsor our kids for a fee annually that doesn't even compare to what they would spend on an employee with benefits and all that. But while that investment helps us underwrite the cost, the investment in our students, which is about $13,000 a year, keeping in mind that the average tuition payment is about $600 a year, because that's what our families can sacrifice and afford. Our kids are also broadening their horizons. They're learning from leaders like Paul. They're learning from the movers and shakers in Sacramento. And I'd like to believe they're shaping the minds and hearts of those leaders. So as our business leaders, our supervisors, and everyone in between are learning and building relationship with those kids, they're thinking about those communities. And when our kids become adults, successful, post-college, when they come back, they want to give back to those places. And I can't tell you how many of our kids will go through our work-study program, and then after they graduate, or even during the summers while they're in college, work in those very spots. We just had a kid return after 4 years at Villanova, getting his nursing degree. He's back at where he was as a freshman in high school at his work-study site as a registered nurse at Mercy San Juan.
Sorry to interrupt you. I have to imagine, we all remember our first job. And for a lot of these young people, it's their first job. And so you want to get off, even I think a crummy job can shape you in a positive way. We can learn from a bad environment, of course, but getting off on the right foot with people that care about you, they're bringing you in with intention to develop you as a young person. They're very thoughtful, caring people. I know the people over at Five Star Bank recommended you all to us, and we want to help the children develop. I have to imagine that's good for their success and understanding what work is all about.
It's good for everyone's success in the building, whether there are students or parents or faculty or staff or friends. And I think about just the relationships we've developed through Capital Cup, whether the people that are advocating for us because they believe in us, not because they had kids or grandkids go through the school, but because they know what we're doing is important, not only for one kid, but for generations of families and communities. I think about the relationships we build as I'm caddying for James Beckwith at Five Star Bank this last Sunday, or as our kids stand in that room with others who are competing for nonprofits throughout the city. They see that people care about this community. Whether it's for Cristo Rey or any of the other wonderful organizations that were being supported, our kids see it's important as you receive to learn how to give back to be that men and women for others that we teach them every day to be.
And these are people that are living below the poverty level, at or below the poverty level. I don't even know what is that an income level?
Yeah, just to give you a sense, the average household of 5 for us is about $46K a year.
Okay. Yeah. Tough to
wrap your head around.
Yeah, it's tough. It's probably for me, for sure, to understand how a family of 5 can live on that. So it was great. Appreciate what you did.
Certainly. Thank you.
And last but not least, Hernani Alves, my good buddy. He's been on the show before. You've had all kinds of success. Maybe give you a little bit of your background and maybe what charity you chose and why.
Excellent. As my background, Hernani is one of those unique names. I was born in Angola, Africa. There was a famous singer there. My mom gave me that name, and I cannot sing. So we migrated to the U.S. We didn't have much money. We were actually extremely poor. I was a soccer athlete. I remember being the only kid that didn't even have cleats. Kind of growing up, I was once taken out of the classroom, and they gave me a whole shopping spree right around Christmas time because I was one of the kids that we didn't have much money, and they knew, so they took us out and we did this shopping spree. Things I didn't know until growing up. So I've always been, you've got to give back. It's not even an option. And if you think what a leader does or what a leader is, the true definition is to help others become greater than themselves. And that's what we do. That's what you do as parents. You help your kids become greater than what they think they can. You do that with your team, your employees, your significant others, and different things. You're always kind of just helping them and lifting them up. So I started off as a part-time salesperson at Sleep Train, fell in love with it. Then I eventually became president with Dale Carlson, the founder and CEO of Sleep Train. We sold it in 2014, which is actually a 10-year anniversary.
Congrats. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. So Dale was always involved in Capital Cup. I would see him doing it, raising a lot of money for his charity, which is Ticket to Dream Foundation, which is also mine to help foster kids. You have kids that their parents did something wrong, and then they get thrown into the system. So if you imagine getting thrown in the system and losing your parent at the same time. And then once you go in the system, you normally go to different homes. So we help them either come back together, give them the things that they need for school, even just learning materials. And then we also help them once they kind of graduate out of it to get them ready for college, to get them ready for what's a credit card, how do you pay bills, how do you budget, and different things. So the Capital Cup, it's been an honor to be a part of it. At the end of the day, I look at it as everybody's true heroes. They're not players. We play for 3 days, but like this year, we raised for 115 days. It actually started back in May. And what we talk about is we're there to win, and win stands for what's important now. And what's important now more than ever is to help other people and give back.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about how to give back and why we give back. I mean, it feels good when you help other people. Like we get something out of it when we help other people. I mean, we've all seen an opportunity to push somebody out of an intersection and, maybe their car was stalled. You get back and you're in a great mood for the rest of the day, right? You feel good because you help somebody even, in that weird way. If you help anybody, it feels good, but we can't be everything to everybody, right? We, as humans, we can kind of find our lane, if you will. And a couple of years ago, after selling my companies, this is 10, 12 years ago, I was trying to find my lane, and I ended up doing this little exercise called an Ikigai, where it helps you sort of find your calling. And for me, it was around creating opportunity. Okay, yeah, because I had a good time with that, building businesses. But like, how do I focus? How do I hone in a little bit? In this Ikigai exercise, it led me to think I want to help entrepreneurs and veterans because my son was in the Marine Corps. So I kind of found myself trying to focus so I could have more impact. So I'm going to circle around to each of you, and I want you to think about your calling or your purpose, your why, and how it relates to the charitable giving that you do, and really how that relates to what you're doing with the Capital Cup. And maybe we'll start with you, Curt.
Really? You're not going to give us any time to think about it?
Yeah, so I set you up. You should be going that soliloquy. You had plenty of time to form a thought.
Draw me a map and tell me where all that's going to go before you.
You're calling your life. You don't have a personal mission statement?
It's funny. My whole career, I'm the worst person to ask this question. I never had a plan. In fact, these young people come and say, gee, what should my career plan be? And generally, I said, I know you have your Ikigai up on the wall over there. I was looking at it earlier, right? Those are all the right questions. What am I good at? How can I make an impact? How can I make money? All these different elements that all feed into figuring out where do all these things intersect? And, so my advice generally to people, I think if I could look back at my career path, it's like, just start something, so do it the best you can, learn from it whatever you can, and then reflect on that and figure out. It's sort of like, trying to cross a stream. And I just say, just jump on a rock. And then, that rock, then figure out what rock you're going to jump on next. And then go to the next one. don't try to figure out how you're going to get all the way across the street.
Well, one of the things I was thinking about for you is relates to the Capital Cup, and it relates to DCA as well, is you magnify other people's success. So you have a gift of rallying people. You've rallied all these successful business people to golf to help in a big way. So you've kind of magnified what could happen in a regular golf tournament into something that is region changing and game changing for so many people. So you've got a gift for seeing a vision in, magnifying, opportunity for other people.
Well, I appreciate the compliment. I think if I were reflecting and being out, I think I sometimes can see opportunities where, how things can fit together and come together in ways that may not be, natural to everybody. And I've also been blessed to have been in a role where I've had the opportunity to get exposed to a lot of people who are impactful leaders, like the ones that are here, because you can have the vision, you can figure out, this would be really cool. But if you don't have, originally our first year we had 24 people. If you don't have those 24 friends who will step up and write a check, that year it was $2,500. It's now $2,800. Just to participate in this, you've got enough people who are willing who believe in it enough, and who care enough, and who want to give back enough to reach into their own pocket, write a $2,800 check just for the opportunity to step up and do good. And not everybody has that breadth, and because of the role that I've had here in the community, I've been blessed to get to know a lot of those kinds of people who can step up and who wanted to step up to be able to actually execute on, what we thought was kind of a crazy concept, and it just happened to work. This.
Well, a lot of people have good ideas, but what are you going to do about it? That's what it comes down to. What are you going to do about it? And we have all these, intentions in life and ideas, but what are you going to do about it? You guys are doing something about it, and it's impressive.
And you touched on it, right? We all have ideas that we think might be good ideas, right? And you don't know which ones are going to be the good idea and which ones are going to be the terrible, stupid idea. And the biggest thing is, to just try your idea, right? You never know when that magic idea, like the Capital Cups, turned into being a magic idea. But we had no idea when we started that it was going to be anything but a flop. But, but we tried it, and it has grown, and it's been great.
People believed in you, they believed in your mission. Anybody else want to take a stab at that question about how your purpose in life ties down into this charitable giving arm of your life? Because we all have lives beyond this, but how this is kind of meant to be for you?
Yeah, I'll take that. I think a lot like her, I struggle to answer because I think it evolves through the years. And it's based off your personal, experiences. People always ask, hey, what's your greatest characteristic? Or what's your superpower? My superpower has always been surrounding myself with much better, smarter people, like everyone in this room right here, and the Capital Cup as a whole. And so when it came to making decisions to give back, I like to learn how others did it better. I think it's always nice when you have that specific passion, or a family member that has a challenge, or often it's someone that went through a very challenging, unfortunate position that can create that passion from a charitable standpoint. But for me, it just took a lot of time, and now I have 3 young daughters. They're 14, 12, and 9, and our passion has been helping kids, first and foremost and always. So I'm a school board member in the Rescue Union School District, as was Curt, believe it or not.
That's kind of that's how the sticks out.
We're out there a little bit. Award-winning school district.
Is that right?
But we have at any point in time 30 to 50 homeless children.
Oh goodness!
And I had no idea. Until we got more involved with the community. So we're directly involved with that, and then giving achievements and at-risk scholarships to some of the local high schools. And that's all come from just getting more involved in our local community over the last couple of years, and helping foster children out specifically. I think with 10% of foster children even go to college, and even a lower percent actually graduate from college. So we've been helping giving select scholarships to foster children who are seeking advanced education as well. But that all came about the last couple of years as you get more involved with life and communities and the things surrounding yourself with just really good people, which is why I'm here today.
Paul, you want to expand on any of this? With you personally, and what you do?
My children were small. I tell this story, right? But my children were small, and I was so busy between children, work, everything else, right? So my charities those times, church, schools, right? Where my kids went to school. That's where they were. But we adopted this feral cat. We're bringing this kitten home, right? We're bringing this kitten home. My youngest son wanted a cat. So we're bringing the kitten home. We're at a stoplight. And off to the left, there's a homeless cat. And my daughter, 7 maybe at the most, looks over and she goes, "Dad, feral people."
Oh, wow.
Right? And it took the 2 boys a second or two to say, "Don't they need a home? Who's going to adopt them then?" Right? It was like this light came on that it was time to get involved outside of our world, right? And so that was it was just literally this light came on the back of my head, and probably it took me, I thought, we get those people a job, right? All they need is a job, right? But it's so much bigger problem than that, right? When it comes to, I was living in a real simple bubble, and it took me probably 5 years of working on this, working with different charities to have any understanding of how to help the homeless population, right? But that's why you got experts that do that. And so that was my first push into extra outside of personal family type of sponsorships, right? And it had a huge impact on my life, and it's introduced me to a lot of people. There are true success stories of people coming out of homelessness. So it's kind of amazing what happens. And I've got a number of stories around that just to make you tear up, right? But so homelessness can be helped, right? So I like to work on that side of the charity circle. But what I love about Cristo Rey is we're working on the front side of that circle.
Hearing me tell that story reminded me of the first time I ever met you. I didn't even know. I might have met you, but you were up in front of a huge audience. Was it me with Red Lion at the time for the Volunteers of America, leading that whole charge against homelessness. And then I go, that's one impressive dude. I hope I get to meet him someday. So it's an honor to be here in the same studio with you.
Well, yeah, he's singing with you guys. I tell you, the thing about the Capital Cup is I'd say there's so many charities that I had no idea existed. Now, Carlson, speaking of homelessness, right, and Hernani, anybody that went into any shelters got a new mattress, right? They never had a new mattress in their life, and they get to take it with them when they leave, right? It's just the generosity of people in this community just blows me away, right? And that's Hernani is involved in it, and I can't tell you how much that meant to a number of these people that you talk to in these charities. They tell you, just the idea of having a bed that was their own mattress, right?
Hernani is a successful entrepreneur these days. Now that he's out of the mattress business, doing other stuff. But you went back to the foster children to help them. And you're one of these people that you've done consulting for a number of our companies and helped me personally as well. You're one of these people that you get the plan together, right? You make sure that we've got a plan. We were talking about values, Paul's values, core values, and mission statement at the beginning off camera. But when you think about yourself personally and what you have decided to do in your life, do you have that orchestrated in a way where you're working on a plan in terms of transferring that plan into helping others?
Yeah, plans are designed to change, right? You got to have a plan to change them. Something I've really learned, my own personal mission is improving lives one relationship at a time. Because what sometimes will happen is you'll come up with this idea, how am I going to do this? And you get overwhelmed by it. It's so big. But if you take it down and you make it personal, like how would I help that one person specifically? Then you come up with that idea, and eventually it grows to become like the Capital Cup. It grows, and that was what Curt was thinking about when he was first with Kerry Gordon and kind of thinking what he should do there. So a lot of it is just taking action. Sometimes that's kind of what I do. I help check people's blind spots. I give them a little extra motivation, kind of like you said, you're going to do this. The accountability part, as you know, that I'm known for. Now let's go execute. And you have to show, and no one's going to believe you until you show proof. And once you start showing proof, that's where it starts becoming contagious. Then other people start doing that. And in businesses and in companies, we always hear, my staff doesn't want to change. They don't want to change. Nobody wants to change. And you're always evolving. But once you start showing them the proof, they don't have a choice. It's like, I want to be a part of that. And that's how you start creating tribal followers to be able to do that. So
that's what's happening here at the Capital Cup. And, it's interesting that your name is Chris and you're the president of Cristo Rey. It just dawned on me. But you are also, you're a man of the cloth. I'm looking at your outfit.
I'm a Jesuit priest.
Okay. And now, is that a part of the Cristo Rey experience?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that? And maybe that's some higher calling for you as well.
Sure. So Cristo Rey is part of a national network. There are 40 schools throughout the country in this model. And they were all started by Jesuits who in Chicago once upon a time said to the people in the poorest of neighborhoods, what do you need? And they said, all those college prep schools, we can't afford them, but our kids deserve an opportunity too. And so they found a way by looking at the skyscrapers in that skyline and said, there's opportunity in those businesses and those buildings. And that's how that work study component developed for the Cristo Rey model. I'd say for me personally, one of the reasons why I am where I am today, in particular at Cristo Rey, I grew up in situations like our kids. So by all intents and purposes, growing up, single parent, grandchild of immigrants, poor, South Central Los Angeles, I shouldn't have made it. But because my family said hard work and doing it together with a great deal of humility and gratitude, that will get you forward. And then I took that experience to every school, every place that shaped me, formed me. I went to Jesuit high school in Los Angeles. And at every Jesuit high school, you should hear you are called to be the man and woman for and with others. And that complemented the foundation that had shaped me at home. And then when it came time to figuring out what do I want to do with my life, what fills me up, I can tell you stories about dating in college and having my heart broken, sure. But what filled me up is serving others and living in gratitude and trying to identify where the holy was in all of that. So fast forward so many years, I had a professor in grad school who said, ed school, if you're going to be shameless for anything, be shameless for the mission. So what does that mean for me? I'm out there advocating for my kids with hard work, with sacrifice, humility as much as possible, with a sense of community, recognizing I can't do this alone at all. Cap Cut gives life to my school in ways that I can't imagine without it. Paul Esch or James Beckwith and all the other people that support us, they remind me what's important to be a man and woman for and with others. And if I can hold on to that as my core, then my calling to serve, my calling to be present to my kids in authentic, real, humble ways will keep me where I'm supposed to be. And so as I hear all of yous, bits and pieces of your story resonate with me, and it's like, yes, yes, yes. And I'm grateful because for me, that's yet another reminder that my life affords me of saying, this is God affirming the goodness in this community, soak it up with gratitude and humility, and we'll keep doing good work wherever we are.
That's awesome. So I think one of my philosophies, I know one of my philosophies is about having fun. So as I was thinking about, my philosophy is don't do it if it's not fun. But the Capital Cup is fun. It's an experience, not just because it's golf. Beyond the fun of playing golf, what's fun about the Capital Cup? Anybody want to take a stab at that?
Go ahead, Hernani. He's a fun guy.
Yeah, why is it fun? Being around Hernani is fun.
It's just, for me, just being around these heroes, and they're not players. And then you start thinking they are truly there to raise and help other people. If we didn't have the Capital Cup, would we have given back? Yeah, we would have still given back. But would have we have inspired 2.6 million to give it back? Probably not. I probably wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So the Capital Cup brings us together. We get to have some fun. We get to do some practice rounds. We get to have some high fives. It's a Ryder Cup format. So in golf, many times you play by yourself, but in Ryder Cup, now you're playing for a team. And it's divided into 2 different teams. And it just makes it a lot of fun because we've got super competitive people. Does everybody get a trophy? No. Only one team gets a trophy, but everybody wins. I know how crazy it is. Our foundations won. Everybody naturally wins because we're able to give them a check at the end and take a picture. And you just come out of there with your heart just filled so high, so much. And just like Paul mentioned here, you meet incredible people that you'll develop these relationships for the rest of your lives.
Do you think it's become like an aspirational type of goals to hopefully someday I'm successful enough where I'm invited to play the Capital Cup and, I'm in a position to move these kind of mountains? Do you feel like it's an aspirational thing?
Look, I think I asked 2 people to join this year. There was room for them, and they were really flattered to be asked, right? So I'd say yes, but I don't know if you can until, you've been involved in something, right?
Okay.
But, one of the things, and people don't like this, right? I mean, most people don't like asking for money, but for Cristo Rey, for the Capital Cup, when I call people up and talk to them about donating, right? They said, oh, it's that time again? And, send them updates. You can make it fun for the community that's involved in it, right? Hernani is the king of sending back things to people, let them know what their difference it's going to make. But that's just part of learning to, and believe me, I was no kind of fundraiser. I would have been somebody that just hated to ask people for money. But over the years, you kind of learn that it's not a bad thing to ask somebody for money. I mean, if they, and people who I ask know me well enough, they say, well, I can't do it this year, or I can't do as much this year, whatever. I'm saying, I'm all for it, right? I mean, fundraising is actually,
it's a more fun way of doing fundraising.
It's a more fun way. You've got a great cause, and it's also, it's a competition. The Capital Cup makes it a competition. Help me win. You get a mulligan if you raise $5,000, right? Which I need, right?
Well, the experience, I was at the, I don't know if it was the last Capital Cup or not. I think it was. I got one of my buddies, Todd Ballenbach, played for Legion Vets, our charitable organization. And so he invited me to come out and have a beer with you guys. And for me, it was I felt honored to be around the people that are really making it happen. So for me, it was aspirational just to be a part of it, even in a small way. Just to hang with you guys. So it's fun. You've done something really special.
I think, it's I had to reflect on your question a little bit, Mark. But, it's amazing. I think every aspect of it is fun. We start out and at first the fundraising, I call it, the fundraising is daunting because I don't like, asking for money, but I love Chris's, mantra. If you're going to be shameless for your cause. And what's been really rewarding is, even though I was very timid and worried about asking people for money, the positive feedback and the people who have said thank you for doing what you're doing and for raising money for these causes or raising awareness for all these causes or whatever is probably 10 to 1 to the people who say, please don't ever send me any more emails. And so that's very validating, I think, for just reinforcing, okay, this is actually a good thing. People generally, I think, want to do good. They don't always know how. And so providing them with a very, simple way to do good for things that they would like to do good for or to support. I mean, between our players, our 32 players this year, we supported 30 different charities, right? I will guarantee you, if you have $5 that you want to give, there is an organization within those 30 that's going to touch your heart. And frankly, it's probably 15 or 20 that are going to touch your heart in a meaningful way. You're going to have to say, gee, how do I
spread my
$5?
Yeah, my $5 around.
But just, hanging out with the people, the competition on the golf, the anticipation, I mean, because none of us are, well, that's not true. There are a few people who are really good golfers, but most of us are just, amateur hacks at best. But we go out there and we're nervous because we don't want to fail. It is a team sport, as these guys were saying, and you don't want to let your team down. It's one thing to just go out there and be terrible on your own and say, okay, yeah, I'm not telling you to go. But when your team is counting on you, and like they were saying, we're playing for $100,000. We're competing as teams for $100,000 prize pool. And so the camaraderie that comes from that is just a ton of fun. And then we hang out after we're done playing, and we tell stories and we commiserate about our misery. And
Are there any stories about people being overly competitive? Because you guys are competitive people. Anyway, like super successful business people. That doesn't happen by accident, right? You've competed to be number one in the nation. Is there any ever real adversarial type stuff?
I was super worried about that going in because, right, I mean, you have a lot of people where it's people maybe competing against a client. All right. Wow. You're sitting over a 3-foot cut. It's your client. It's like $100,000 online. Hey, maybe you go, hey, that's good. Or, the balls, whatever. I was really worried about that. And tell you what, a true testament to the quality of the people we've had involved. If you do the math, right? 10 years, roughly average of 30 players a year. So that's 300 opportunities times 3. Because we play 3 matches, so that's 900, almost 1,000. I can't think of a single incident that has taken place that made me kind of bristle, and which is phenomenal. Because you're absolutely right. We have those kind of people, right? That are can be pretty intense. Not everybody. It's a full spectrum like any other group, but there are enough of us who are pretty competitive. Type A, probably. Tending toward the type A side. But every single person, I think, has the right perspective of why we're really there, right? We're not really there to win a golf match. We're really there to do good for the community. Everybody totally has kept that in perspective. And I've been really proud of that, probably as much as anything.
All right, I'm going to throw one last question out to the group that I'd like everybody to answer it. So this will be as we kind of wrap up the show, one final question. So, and this is where you can give any closing thoughts that you have about Capital Cup or anything else that you're working on. What did I not ask you? And just, give us some closing thoughts. So maybe we'll start over here with Cristo Rey but anybody wants to jump in, we don't have to go in order.
I just can't help but think. So our kids, yes, they're learning in the classroom, math and English, that kind of stuff, but they're also learning in businesses throughout Sacramento. I look forward to the day when one of my alums is at such a point that they can play in the Cap Cup and they can give back and they can recognize because people believed in them from home to school to businesses to the golf course, that they too can step up and compete and build connections. So I look forward to that day, and it'll be a great match, I'm sure.
That will happen, I'm sure. You want to go next, Mike?
Yeah, for me, I just think the most fascinating part is the donors and donations that come in and learning about other causes. And I would love, as a Catholic who went to Villanova, I would love to learn a little bit more about what you have going on. But it's just fascinating that we can raise over $2.6 million over a couple months. And Curt and team have raised over $18 million over a 10-year period. And I find that concept hard to find anywhere else, let alone the impact we're able to make from that. So for me, going back just to, with your fun question, was beside the camaraderie and the relationships, which is what I love, I just think it's fascinating seeing these dollars come in. I raise money for a living for my real estate deals, but raising money from a donation standpoint for charitable causes is a different beast. And I'm new to this, so I'm not out knocking on doors and pick up the phone. I'm just hiding behind the desk sending emails. And I typically start 5 days before the event. And it's just amazing to see. And it's so exciting, for me, more exciting than the golf, seeing the dollars come down from people that you've known through the years. And it's often not the gentleman you made millions for in a real estate deal. It's often your manager, your assistant manager in Kansas City, or a new employee for the Kings organization that's donating back. And the possibility of individuals and their intent to give back and help from any level is unbelievable, and you see it from start to finish with the Capital Cup.
The Capital Cup is it's an amazing thing. We've talked about the camaraderie, meeting people and things, but I think the thing that I want to put a pitch in Father Cristo to talk about first here said, Cristo Rey always needs jobs, communities, anybody who could hire one of these kids, let's hire them, because if the more kids they can hire, the more kids they can take into school, right? Right now, the goal is to have about 100 kids a class. But if you don't have 100 jobs, if you only have 80, right, then you have to make the rest up somewhere, right? So we want to make sure that if anybody can use any of these kids, I'd love to see them go there. Now, what I like about what a lot of people don't like fundraising, and it's not that I do, but I have enough time in my life now to do it. And one of the important things, Michael, is call the people up this week that donated, look at your list, get the numbers, call them up. And if you know anything about their family, ask them about it, right? Do a little bit of research on the people that did know, whether it's $100 or $500. Call them up and talk to them and see what happens next year, if they can, right? The fact that you call up and do that, I mean, that gives you a chance to connect with the community that is supporting you, right? It's just, it's a great way to, just don't call them up and leave a voicemail. If you have to after a couple of tries, fine, right? But call them up and tell them how much that meant and how the Capital Cup went. And then we raised that $2.6 million, and we raised this amount of money for Cristo Rey. Thank you for supporting it. Make sure they understand what Cristo Rey is, right? Whoever you're supporting. I think that's a big part of fundraising that people miss, is that it's great to get these donations in. It'd be different if they were bringing you in a check. But with the electronics today, they just do it over the line, and you don't get a chance to connect with them. So connect with people. That's what makes life interesting. You find out things just by talking to people. And I guarantee you, I always say I've never had an original idea in my life, but I know a good one when I hear it. Right? So connect with people.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Okay. Lead with your heart. Kind of growing up, I wasn't always that way. For me, it was always kind of leading with my fists, leading with my words, getting on top of people, micromanaging. And I realized I was actually killing hearts. People were running away from me. And once I started understanding how to win hearts, and that was something my brother taught me. I remember him telling me, because I didn't like to spend $1, didn't really like to donate or give money, because I was like, I don't have much. And my older brother goes, you know how much money you could take to heaven? And I kind of looked and zero. You can take zero. So give back, give back and help other people. And that's really what helped me understand is leading with your heart, being able to do more of that. Just find your purpose as a company. Many times we'll go, hey, let's go to the bar and let's have a good time and so forth. And it might be, and I found out it's more rewarding if you take them to go give back to an organization. They're going to come out of it on cloud 9. They'll do anything for your company. And then that shows proof that you are doing things more than just above profits. And then it creates loyalty, and then they're going to want other people working there. And before you know it, you got a revolution that's really going to create a tribe of followers.
Thanks, Max.
Curt, you get the last word. How do you want to do it? Give us a mic drop moment, Curt.
Well, I don't know that I have any mic drops. You know me better than that, Mark. I'm not a mic drop guy. But, one of the things we haven't touched on is, Paul and Hernani were actually this year's captains. So they were competing against each other. And, so the juice is going. They both want to win. But I'll tell you what, I couldn't have observed two people, both of whom really wanted to win, rooting for each other's success in a more genuine and sincere way. It's like they just wanted the event to be all that it could be, irrespective of whose name was going to be on the trophy, right? That's the thing that winning captain gets. We have this perpetual trophy. The winning captain gets their name emblazoned on that.
Hernani
got it on the golf course, but I'll tell you what, Paul's team, I happen to be fortunate to be on Hernani's team on the golf side, but Paul's team destroyed us on the fundraising.
Oh, interesting.
So, you can have your own debate based on your own value system who the true winner was. Now, Hernani's team got to share the $100,000 prize pool that we were all competing against. Even with that $100,000, Paul's team still raised more money than we did. Wow. So, everybody was a winner. And I think
what does it mean?
The thing that I hope, one of the things that we do within our organization is we encourage, and we don't have a large organization like Paul's, but we encourage everybody to get involved with a nonprofit organization of whatever kind they want. We offer matching to it. But we tell them, if you're going to get involved, get really involved, right? Do it right. Don't be one of those people that's sort of there. You get the free lunch, the rubber chicken, and you go and do, try to get something for your resume. Go in and make an impact. And one of my hopes is, that, the Capital Cup and all the work that everybody that's involved, because the people who are involved in the Capital Cup, right? We talk about that because that's what we're here to talk about. But that is one of probably half a dozen things that those people are doing to give back to the community, right? They give back in so many different ways. And what my hope is for the younger people in our organization, the younger people in the community, have a vision of what right looks like from a charitable giving standpoint. I've always said, it's sometimes hard to figure out how all the pieces are supposed to fit together if you've never seen the box, right? And so I'm hoping that we can help to show that next generation what the box is supposed to look like, so they can start to put their own personal pieces together in a way that gives them a very fulfilling and satisfying and giving life. So
You are certainly, all of you are an example, not only to young people, but to an old guy like me as well. So thank you guys very much.
Thanks for watching today's show. My goal for every episode is that you find a takeaway, something tangible you can use in your business today. And if you have a comment about a favorite takeaway, feel free to put it in the box below. And if you have a topic that you'd like me to bring up on the show, don't forget to let me know. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship. Because at Haney Biz, we are always by your side.